Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be playing Democracy 3, which is a game that I have played a couple times by myself, but I haven't played on stream before. Yes, this is the older Democracy. I believe there's like Democracy 4 out. Might even be a Democracy 5 out, I'm not sure of. At least know there's at least a newer version of this game. If this is your first time watching on the channel, I am streaming this live to Willcall, or live to Twitch under the username Willcall, and recording it locally to upload later to YouTube under the username Willcall100. So depending upon where you're watching it, that's what's going on. And if you're watching on YouTube and you're wondering what I'm responding to, I may be responding to Twitch chat, which right now, because I don't have any moderation, I don't have showing in the video. So it's something that only I can see and respond to. Or I suppose technically people who are watching live as Twitch could have seen it. So I don't have any of the DLC for here, so we've got a couple different choices for nations to play as. We're just going to basically pick one, sort of at random here, and deal with the problems associated with it. So let's do France. So lots of different ways you can sort of do this game. You can set it up with differing term lengths or different term limits. I'm not sure if you can change the term limits when you're in game, or the term length when you're in game. And we're just going to leave the default settings here. So about 40% political apathy, not modifying the innate socialism versus liberalism. There's some ways we can do that in game, and that's how we'll probably actually sort of electioneer a little bit in here. So we get our one election here, because this start time period does appear to be 5-year term length with a two-term election limit. So we do need to get elected to sort of play it out to the max at least one time. So, congratulations! Welcome to Democracy 3. We've just started with the tutorial. Played the game before, just haven't played it on this game before. Election victory. Welcome to the new job as president. Our lives, all 65 million people in the country, citizens, are now in our hands. As we will imagine, there are a number of situations and concerns we will need to deal with as soon as possible, while keeping an eye on the long-term improvements of our citizens' quality of life. Plus, do not forget that we face a re-election in 5 years. We need public opinion polls and party membership. Good luck. So France in this game, at least at this start, seem to have a decent amount of education, and crime and poverty are reasonably low. Unemployment is probably starting to become a problem, and we could want to improve the GDP and health, obviously. And we have a couple crises that I'm obviously noticing right away in red here. We do have organized crime. It would be good to get that to stop. It's just above the start trigger line, so a lot of the way the bad modifiers kick in is there's a trigger line. If you're above it, it starts, and to stop it, you've got to get below it. So it's not just enough that you can, oh, I can't just backface just a little bit to undo it. You've got to actually get below the line. So we've got to get below the green line here, whereas we're above the red line. So we're above the start line. We actually do some work to bring that down. So we've got organized crime, a doctor strike, an obesity epidemic, asthma epidemic, pollution, as is the case in a lot of the world. We are below the stop trigger on that one at least, but that's something we'll probably want to improve. Though I think that's one made, well, caused by the environment. The environment's affected by pollution, for example. And an uncompetitive economy. And right now we start with 25 political points. We may be able to improve that by reshuffling the cabinet. Quit the tutorial. Look at the potential options here. Yeah, so I think the best we can probably get at this point would be 5 in every category. So there's like, oh, we'd have to pay 10 political cabinet points, and we'd get maybe 2, 3, or 6 a cycle. So it probably would be, if we wanted to just reshuffle the cabinet, now is probably the time to do it. We'll hold off. We can see the approval of all the social groups, social democratic groups, and also their size. So the sort of the black in the background, I believe, is the size. So socialists, quite a large portion of the government. or of the population, at least the voting population here in France. And at this point right now, they're actually fairly low. So we want to keep the socialists probably happy. Either that, or we need to really go out of our way to make sure that they shrink. Conversely, the capitalists are very unhappy, but they're also not a very big portion of the voting bloc. Everybody is everybody, obviously, so it's a very big voting bloc. They don't like crime, they don't like violent crime, and they do happen to like that we have an egalitarian society. So the big ones that are unhappy are the capitalists, the middle income, and the wealthy. The poor are happy, but they're not particularly big, and we probably don't want the poor to get bigger. Middle income is something we might actually want to improve, which would basically be reducing some of the taxes that affect them specifically. And then we probably do want to improve the relations to the liberal, because apparently we're a fairly liberal country here in France. 65% of the government, or 65% of the voting population being liberal. Oh, and we do have one good effect going on, which is we are an egalitarian society. Okay. So uncompetitive economy is affected by productivity. Productivity is affected by alcohol consumption, maternity leave, health, labor laws, positively affected by education. Okay. Let's start off by trying to improve education. On here we can see the things that are affected immediately, so things like the approval of the poor is affected immediately when we move the slider. Whereas some things, like actual socialism, have a much higher delay. So this is the number of people as socialist. So going from modern textbooks to student laptops, for example, is going to suppress private schools. We're going to increase the number of state employee, or increase state employee membership, socialist membership, parent membership a little bit. Increase the wage of the state employees, lower unemployment, lower poverty, increase state employment happiness, and education. That's actually the thing we want to modify here. Let's not modify it for the moment. That's one way we can improve education. So this is the state of private healthcare. So private healthcare is pretty tiny in the country. Food prices are pretty low. That's good. We want that to stay low. Although that might be contributing to obesity. Private schools is low because of the state schools being high. Environment is probably lower than we want it to be. Not necessarily going to a way to fix that right away. Health is lower than we want it to be, probably due to the doctor strike. So fixing the doctor strike would be a good way to move on that. Education. We got university grants coming in there. Technology could be doing improvement. Science funding. That's fairly cheap in political power to rise. And would improve the happiness of the state employees. Reduce unemployment just a little bit. Increase state employees as general. Okay. No. Here's the university grants. State healthcare, again, something else we may want to raise. At least we're going to stay socialist. Obviously, if we weren't to be sort of go more capitalist, this is the wrong way to go. This would help a lot with the doctor strike, basically improving access to funding here would happily reduce the probability that they're striking. Creationism versus evolution. We don't have the political power to raise this. We probably would want to, at some point, slide towards evolution only. Most people are liberal in the country, so raising liberal membership and making them happier is probably better than maintaining the happiness of the religious vote, especially seeing as I think the religious are already somewhat miffed and fairly small. And then art subsidies. Not necessarily going to be a big swing on anything, but also it's fairly cheap to do. And right now, apparently, we're starting off as somewhat popular. Okay. So in a way, this is maybe a little bit of an easy start here. Not, at least the things I'm planning on doing, I'm not too worried about getting reelected. The question here comes, do I want to deal with the budget, or do I want to deal with sort of health and education first? I think I'm going to go with fixing education and maybe a little bit of health, and then we'll move on to generating the tax revenue to fund all of that. Sort of the secondary terms. So this will be expensive in that it's going to add $3 billion a quarter to the deficit. And I'll help a little bit with technology. Let's deal with the healthcare strike first. That's obesity. It's the one on the bottom left that's healthcare strike, isn't it? Yeah, that's... Okay, so we want to drive this down. Unemployment is... Apparently, having high unemployment is probably reducing the likelihood that people want to strike. Okay, that makes sense. Let's prove state healthcare. See if that helps a lot with the strike possibility. And that's going to raise deficit by about $6 billion. I think we can probably stomach that. Especially seeing as the deficit is already 19 million, or 19 billion. Oh, actually, the deficit's not that bad. So I'm making the deficit worse. We're going to make the deficit worse before we make it better, apparently. Okay, so with that in place, that will help a little bit. Maybe if we... welfare... Public services? Try and see if there's anything here I think that would help with the union problem we have going on. Bicycle subsidies, yeah. At least know that we can afford with our 7 political power. The labor law, we probably do want to go... This would be one way to, I think, deal with the workers' strike, yeah. Oh, I guess actually that would make it worse. So maybe we hold off on that for a bit. Okay, we'll probably hold off on that for a bit, see if that kicks in enough to fix the problem. Gonna raise university grants. That'll help with education a bit, which will help with the competitive economy. Yeah, let's spend the last minute on that, and we'll go through a cycle here. Okay, this is the first time I've run this on this computer, so I'm getting achievements for the first time. And apparently, you just get that achievement immediately as France. Crime is not so much of a problem here in France. Okay, children's food. Law has been proposed to regulate the fat content and nutritional value. So we've got an obesity problem, so we could regulate it. This may have some other negative effects, but we're just going to press that button. Budget rating made the debt worse. Oil. 85% support. Okay, so everyone likes us, even as we're making the debt go up. We got 25 support. Do I want to move on to trying to raise some revenue? Which is almost universally going to be something that is going to piss people off. Taxes. Credit tax. No, we don't want to do that. Luxury goods we probably get away with. Plastic bags would, in theory, help with pollution. Junk food would probably help with obesity. Obesity is a problem. So we could accept it, but basically put no tax on it, which would do a lot, actually, to obesity. This is mainly pissing off the poor and the poor, or the youth and the poor. It is making poverty worse, but it's helping with obesity and health. So I think we'll just accept this. This is not going to generate a lot of revenue. This is only going to generate like 300 million in revenue, which is, to be fair, I think we added 3 billion to the deficit. So it's an improvement. It's not a big improvement. Property tax, sales. So is this the? That's income tax. We can't afford to raise this right now. We don't have the political power. It obviously pisses off the middle income the most. But yeah, this is if we can raise the political capital to raise this, this is a very strong lever to fix revenue issues, right? And we could happily lower it. They'd happily support lowering it, but yeah. So we're gonna cancel. Oops. Revert, not cancel. We don't want to completely cancel the income tax. We'd have no revenue then. The state economy would collapse. So that's beginning to be implemented. Costs start immediately, but the rest of the stuff doesn't kick in right away. Yeah, so we can deal with the doctor strike. That'll help a lot with the health. Obesity, on the other hand, may be a little bit hard to do. Agricultural subsidies are making it worse. Or actually, no. Yes, agricultural subsidies are making it worse. So maybe that's one place we could look to reduce revenue or reduce expenses. Drop it to none. So that would fix the budget issue. Apparently none, but technically some makes the farmers happier than canceling it outright. This would make them the employment a little worse. We're not worried about capitalists. We're not worried about the well. That's the happiness of the unemployed, I believe. Or is no. Is that whoops? Oh, I wasn't done with that. Go back. Unemployment. Okay, so that is unemployment. It would actually make the unemployment worse. That is something we probably want to solve, not worsen. So as we could raise wage subsidies, that would reduce unemployment, increase the number of commuters, increase the rail usage, reduce the motorists. Make some earnings here at the cost of 3 billion. Probably do that. Narcotics are completely outlawed. Okay. Yeah, we only have 9 political power. Let's go ahead and cycle and see how those minor changes we made just kick in. Ban alcohol adverts. You know what? We'll accept the ban. Budget report. Our credit rating is worrying. Okay, we'd like to improve the credit. which means we probably want to improve the cadet economy. Unemployment's down, health is up. Good to see. Human Rights Society is criticizing us. Tutorial. Get out. Okay. So is that opinion in the parents are rising? Okay. How's the doctor strike ongoing? It's going down. It's going down pretty quickly. Oh no, that's obesity. And obesity is coming down pretty quickly. That's the doctor strike, which is also coming down pretty quickly. Hasn't fully kicked in yet. Expected to do like another 10%. Now, is another 10% going to be enough to stop the doctor strike? That's a good question. Import tariffs? No. Don't need to do that. Bunch of stuff we can potentially do on the economy side. Technology colleges, while maybe not particularly popular with people, is a very good way to potentially improve the sort of economic effectiveness, right? By raising technology, raising education. Socialists aren't the happiest about this. It does lower equality a little bit. But yeah, let's go ahead and put technology colleges in. Let's do some free eye tests. So this improves his health, raises poor earnings, makes the happy higher, reduces poverty, reduces the wealthy, or reduces the happiness of the wealthy and the capitalists. So they don't want that to be free. They want to be able to charge for that. But well, we'd rather make the poor wealthier and such. So. And then we can deal with the obesity epidemic by running a healthy eating campaign. Maybe calls for a food labeling. Okay, we'll see how that works with the obesity epidemic. Okay, GDP is up. Unemployment is down, which is what we want to see. Health is up. The credit rating apparently has improved. I haven't actually done anything to really help the, Well, I've done stuff help the economy, not necessarily help the government budget. Just protests. Okay, so the environmentalists are not happy because we haven't done enough to help the environment. Income is expected to go up. Expenditure is actually expected to go up as well, but not as rapidly as income. Global economy is improving. So maybe that's one reason why what I'm doing is not screwing up the debt state. Debt's holding pretty steady. Relative GDP is rising, and our interest rate relatively is dropping. Okay. Have you kicked in all the way? As far as the Doctor Strike, potentially yes. So we may not see any more swing on that, which would be bad. That's the asthma epidemic, which we haven't done enough to help. Obesity is improving. Let's, I guess we have to move on to some environmental stuff. Or subsidize. Environment, environmentalists, motorist income, sure. So we're going to subsidize the use of clean fuels. And the use of clean energy. There's our subsidies for that, yeah. Foreign aid. Technically, cranking that would raise our foreign relations, make the ethnic minorities happy, at really just the cost of the Patriot vote. So we're not going to do that right now. Military spending. Raising that makes the Patriots happier. Makes unemployment go down. Capitalist influences and the member influences. So the state employees going up. Latency, military spending. Pro-union, and it's probably not worth going more pro-union, especially because that's actually going to make the Doctor Strike worse. Suppose we could go to intelligence services. Raise that to go ahead and crush organized crime. Yes, full satellite spy, or full spy satellite network. Liberals won't like that because, you know, we can watch them too much. Crime will go down. Patriots will like that. Organized crime will go down. Let's get organized crime under control, and then maybe we'll come back to do something to fix the fact that liberals don't like this. Okay, that was our political authority for the turn. Okay, unemployment continues to drop, GDP continues to rise, health continues to rise. The budget has a surplus. I've just been spending money. And apparently we're making more revenue. Okay. Ban 6 segment marriages, no allowed marriages. Environmentalists are getting happier because we're starting to work on, we did some work on the environment. How's going? Okay, so the Doctor Strike has stabilized. Is it getting worse because unemployment is bad, or is it getting worse? Effects. Oh, technically it's... Well, that's actually a hard one to read, because we've got unemployment around about middle. If high unemployment makes this worse, or is it low unemployment makes this worse? Okay, so wages going up appears to be making Doctor Strike worse. That's actually a little bit complicated because I expect it to be making it better. I'm gonna make the strike go away without completely sacking our worker rights. Work safety law? Well, that make the trade unions happiness. That wouldn't actually help the problem I'm thinking about. Though that would help with health. No, that's not what we want. Compulsory work for the unemployed is, of course, liked by no one. Introduction here is pretty cheap, so let's introduce the telecommuting initiative. This is going to make the commuters a little bit less happy. At the same time, reducing their numbers, or actually, makes the commuters happier while reducing numbers. Okay. Yeah, let's apply that. Let's actually do a cabinet shuffle while I'm thinking about it. Yeah, let's do a full just reshuffle the cabinet. Okay. Highest support here is 4.9 liberal parents. There's foreign, like, we want a foreign policy minister. Yeah. So we're looking for foreign policy. It's also fairly high. 4.6 farm environmentalists. We're definitely going to think to make the environmentalists happy. Less so sure about the farmers. Foreign policy, farmers' parents. Liberal capitalists. Oh yeah, we're running into sort of situations where it's like, oh, that person looked good except that. Sympathy. I'm surprised he is as loyal as he is with a religious capitalist going on. Okay, looks like we're gonna have to take one that is both for and against something. So I'm definitely gonna go environmentalist here, because we got an environmental problem going on. So foreign policy 4.6. You have that job. Welfare next. You want welfare. Your liberal parents actually probably pretty good. Economy. Trade union socialist, sure. Tax law. Conservative farmers. I applaud your loyalty. I question its longevity. Environmentalist liberal. Could do with more experience, and the loyalty here is probably going to grow. So even though he's not super high at only 3.8, I think that's one where that'll improve. Public service. Public service. Liberal capitalist. Yeah, you're gonna not like us in the long run, I think. Ethnic minorities and conservatives. I'm confused on how you're gonna make that a good good combo there. Okay, what do we got? Public service. Let's look for the two public service. Conservative patriot. Service, self-employed religious. Public service, religious conservative. Public service, liberal capitalist. Religious capitalist. Oh, liberal capitalist. At least we'd be working with the liberals. Less so with the conservatives. Law and order. We want to. What do we got? We do have. This was known as transport. We clicked it here. 4.6. Might not have any good ones for transport. 4.8. Okay. This person's maybe not going to stay happy for very long, but they're really good at transport for now. I think we'll do the same with the law and order, where I think we're taking someone who isn't gonna stay happy. But maybe I'm wrong. I'll somehow keep the conservatives and the farmers happy. Okay, GDP continues to rise. Credit rating upgraded again. Budget report improving. I haven't raised taxes. How are we making more of it? Apparently the economy is turning around a lot faster than I was expecting it to. Because the economic crisis is improving. Human rights getting more powerful. So as we can appease the conservatives by, in fact, implementing some more security effectiveness. But yeah, looking at the time, this is where I'm going to go ahead and put a part break in for this series. If you're watching on YouTube, there'll be another part up tomorrow, where I think we're going to try to hopefully play. This is the time till the 15 years. Okay, the rate that we're playing, we probably won't get to the next election. We'll probably have an election during the stream. It may be where the stream ends, but if you're watching on YouTube, that will be in the future parts. We'll see how far we're going, and we'll see how much we deal with some of these problems going on. I have attempted to deal with the obesity epidemic, and actually at the current rate, it looks like we may solve the obesity epidemic. Been attempting to deal with doctor strikes, which hasn't quite worked. I haven't figured out any other good levers that I want to pull yet to deal with this one. We got about 2/3 of the way to where we want to do to fix that. Haven't really worked with asthma. In fact, asthma's been getting worse because the environment's been getting worse. Yeah. Car usage has been getting worse. We did a little bit to work on organized crime. By cranking that intelligence services. We'll probably move on to organized crime next. I think we can deal with organized crime. We did a little bit with the uncompetitive economy. By improving technology, which drives productivity. And I've done some stuff to help the environment. it hasn't outdone the fact that the economy's been growing faster than our fixes have been applying. But we'll try working on that in a bit in the mill. But yeah, I suppose the clean energy subsidies haven't really kicked in. Those take a while. But yeah, for watching YouTube, there will be a part up tomorrow. For watching on Twitch, feel free to hang around. I'm going to mute the mic for a short bit so I can take a sip of tea before I get to the next part. And until then, wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part, and bye for now.